Namaste students, welcome back to your geography class. We were studying about the Indian soils. In the last class we studied about the meaning and importance, and we also came to know the different types of soil. In detail we studied about the alluvial soil and the black soil. Now let us move on to the next soil, that is the red soil. So, the red soil is a type of soil that develops in a warm, temperate, moist climate under the deciduous or mixed forest, having thin organic and organic mineral layers, black, brown, leached layer resting on an alluvium red layer. Red soils are generally derived from the weathering of ancient crystalline and metamorphic rocks, children. They are named after the rich red color which is due to their high iron content. It can also vary from reddish brown to reddish yellow. They are usually poor growing soils, low nutrients and also humus, and difficult to be cultivated because of its low water holding capacity. Red soils are an important is also an important resources. Now when we move on to the content, this soil in India is known as the omnibus group, have been developed over the Archean granite, gneiss and other crystalline rocks. The sedimentaries of the Kadapa and Vindhya mountains and mixed the Dravarian group of rocks. Its red color is mainly due to the ferric oxide occurring as thin coatings on the soil particles, while the iron oxide occurs as a hematite or as hydrous ferric oxide. When it occurs in hydrate form as limonite, the soil gets a yellow color. Or ordinarily, the surface soils are red while the horizon below gets yellowish color. Now let us move on to the characteristics of the red soil. The texture, children, of the red soil varies from sand to clay. The majority being loam, their other characteristics include porous and friable structure, and there is absence of lime. Concur and free carbonates and small quantity of soluble salts. Their chemical composition includes non-soluble material 90.47%, iron is 3.61%, aluminum is 2.92%, organic matter is 1.01%, magnesium is 0.70%, lime is 0.56%, and carbon dioxide is 0.30%. Potash is 0.24%, soda 0.12%, phosphorus 0.09%, and nitrogen is 0.08%. However, the important regional differences are observed in the chemical composition, children. In general, these soils are deficient, means which is less in lime, magnesia, phosphates, nitrogen, humus, and potash. Intense leaching is a menace of these soils. These soils are infertile due to their high acidity. However, they become fertile with the proper use of irrigation and fertilizers. On the uplands, they are thin, poor, and gravelly sandy or stony and phosphorus, sorry, not phosphorus, porous, light colored soils on which food crops like bajra can be grown. In contrast, on the lower plains and valleys, they are rich, deep, dark colored fertile loam on which under irrigation can produce excellent crops like cotton, wheat, pulses, tobacco, jowar, linseeds, millets, potatoes and fruits. They are characterized by stunted forest growth and are suited to dry farming. So, the red loam soil, these soils have been formed by the decomposition, as I told, by the granite, gneiss, charnosite, and the diorite rocks. Diorite is an intrusive igneous rock composed principally of the silicate mineral plagisolase, feldspar, biotite, hornblende, and pyroxene. The chemical composition of diorite is intermediate between that of the mafic gabbro and felsic granite. Okay, children, it is a cloudy, porous and deficient in concretary materials. So these soils have thin layers and less fertile. So these soils are mainly found, where do you find these soils? The red soil in India, it covers, this soil covers about 5.2 lakh kilometers. These soils, you can, sandy soils, you can see these are found in the parts of Karnataka like Shivamogga, Chikkamangaluru and Hassan districts, and Andhra Pradesh. Here we are having the Rayalaseema, and in Telangana we are having the whole Telangana and the eastern Tamil Nadu. In the eastern Tamil Nadu we are in eastern Tamil Nadu, especially at Tirunamallai and Kudlur districts. Then we are having the Orissa region and the Jharkhand region, and in Jharkhand we are having the Chota Nagpur, and we are also having the Uttar Pradesh, we are having the Bundelkhand, and in Bundelkhand, and in Madhya Pradesh we are having the Balaghat and the Chinwara, and in Rajasthan we are having the Banswara, Bhilwara, Bundi, Chittorgarh, Kota and Ajmer districts, and we are having the Meghalaya, Manipur, Mizoram and Nagaland. In all these areas we are having this red soil, children. And these soils are formed by the disintegrated, as I told, of the granite, gneiss and quartz and sandstone. So due to the presence of hematite and the limonite, its color is ranges from red to yellow. These soils have been rightly reached occupying the Madhya Pradesh, neighboring hills of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So the red soils, what do we grow? As I told, we grow ragi, millets, groundnuts, tobacco and potato. With the help of irrigational facilities, we can grow the other crops also, children. Now we will move on to the next soil, that is the laterite soil. So laterite soil, these laterite is both a soil and a rock type rich in iron and aluminium, and is commonly considered to have formed a hot and wet tropical areas. Nearly all laterites are rusty red coloration because of high iron oxide content. They develop by the intensive and prolonged weathering of the underlying parent rock. Usually, when there are conditions of high temperature and heavy rainfall with alternate wet and dry periods. Tropical weathering, that is the laterization, is a prolonged process of chemical weathering which produces a wide variety in the thickness, grade, chemistry, and or mineralogy of resulting the soil. The majority of the land area contains laterites is between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, children. So, the laterite is commonly being referred to as a soil type as well as being a rock type. Historically, laterite was cut into a brick-like shape and used in the monument building. So, after 1000 CE, the construction of Angkor Wat and other Southeast Asian countries changed to rectangular temple enclosures made to laterite, brick and stone. So, since the midst of 1970s, some trial sections of bituminous surfaced low volume roads have used laterite in place of stone as a base course. Thick laterite layers are porous and slightly precipitation to remove the phosphorus and heavy metals at sewage treatment facilities. So, the laterite are a source of aluminum ore. The ore exists largely in clay minerals and the hydroxides, gibbsites, bymite and diaspore, which resembles the composition of bauxite. So, these laterite soils are covered in India about 2.48 lakh kilometers square. They are mainly found in the mainly found in the uplands of Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats and Chota Nagpur Plateau, Meghalaya Plateau and the Rajmahal Hill, India and Satpuras. They are leached soils, not fertile and are of limited use of agriculture. So, the crops which are grown here are tea, coffee, rubber, coconut, arecanut and also the cashew, rubber, paddy, everything is grown in this soil. Now children, now let us move on to the next soil. The next soil what we are having is the desert soil. When I tell desert soil, where do you find the desert soil? It comes to our place. Desert soil, where do we find? We find this desert soil in Rajasthan, in the dry areas. This is the desert soil what we are having. Let us know about the desert soils. The desert soils is mostly the sandy soil found in low rainfall regions. It has a low content of nitrogen and organic matter which vary with calcium carbonate and phosphate, thus making it infertile. The amount of calcium is 10 times higher in the lower layer than in the topsoil. Children, the availability of nitrogen in the form of nitrates using the fertilizers and proper irrigation in addition to the already present phosphates, makes it useful in growing crops such as barley, cotton, wheat, millets, maize and pulses. For example, the Indira Gandhi Canal command area is one of the best examples showing the maximum utility of the desert soil. The soil is susceptible to wind the erosion and supports a low density of population. India has approximately 4% of the total area covered with the desert soil in the regions of Rajasthan adjoining the areas of Punjab and Haryana lying between the Indus and the Aravalli, the Ran of Kutch in Gujarat uh, and the coastal regions of Orissa, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. What are the main features of this desert soil? The main features of the desert soil that affects the water and the nutrient availability include the texture, content of organic matter, pH and the orientation with the landscape. Desert soil shows typically little development from parent material, and some authors even say that the typical developed soil do not exist in deserts. Most desert soils are classified as the aridosols and are differentiated into soils with a clay horizon and soils without such horizons. So most desert soil tend to be slightly too high basic. So in this desert soil, they are fairly friable, and it is a high content and it has a high content of soluble salt. They are sandy and low in moisture and humus. These are not suitable for the cultivation of crops, but it covers the area of 1.42 lakh kilometers. Some crops can be grown here through the with the help of the irrigation. Now we will move on to the next. These are the characteristics. The crops what I explained you know. Now we can see the Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan where we are having the adjoining the Thar desert where we are having the desert soil. So now we will move on to the next soil, that is the mountainous soil. So this mountainous soil, when I tell mountainous soil, where do you find this mountainous soil? Can you tell? Yeah, these mountainous soil, mountainous soil, where can you find? Can you tell me, children? Yeah, they can be found on the slopes of the mountains and hills, which is covered by the forest. So, the mountain soils are found in the valleys and hill slopes of the Himalayas at altitudes of 2500 meters to 3000 meters. These soils are least studied, and often the vegetation covers the help in their classification. The carbon nitrogen ratio is very wide. They are silty loam to loam in structure and dark brown in color, and this is formed due to the decomposition of organic matter. They are rich in humus and are fertile. So we can see these in the largely found in Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur and Western Ghats. It covers the area of 2.85 lakh kilometers, and also they are rich, the plantation there, it is very useful for plantation crops, and also tea, coffee and fruits are grown in this area. So with this we finish up with the types of soil. And now we will move on to the major types of soil, where we can see the different types of soils. The forest and mountain soil, you can see here, green color. Terria soil, the medium black soil with yellow. Desert arid soil, mixed red and black soil, where you can find both the soils. So all this has been shown in this map. Now we will move on to the soil erosion. When we move to soil erosion, what do we mean when I tell soil erosion? What do you mean by soil erosion? You have heard this word? Isn't it? What do we mean by soil erosion? Can you tell me, children? Yeah, the soil erosion refers to the removal of the top layer, top soil of the natural agent. So, soil erosion is a gradual, it is a gradual process that occurs when the impact of water or wind detaches and removes the soil particles, causing the soil to deteriorate. Soil deterioration and low water quality due to the erosion and surface runoff have become severe problems worldwide. The problem may become so severe that the land can no longer be cultivated and must be abandoned. Many agricultural civilizations have declined due to the land and natural resources mismanagement, and the history of such civilization is a good reminder to protect our natural resources. Erosion is a serious problem for productive agricultural land and for water quality concerns. Controlling the sediment must be integral part of any soil management system to improve the water and soil quality. Eroded topsoil can be transported by wind or water into streams and other waterways. Sediments is a product of land erosion and derives largely from sheets and rill erosions for upland areas and to lesser the degree from cyclic activity in the gullies and drainways. So what might be the causes of the soil erosion? So the soil erosions causes for the soil erosions are of two types. One is the natural process and another one is the human activities. The natural process is the water flowing down the hill, downhill and the wind. And next is human activities, overcropping, overgrazing, deforestation, shifting cultivation, faulty methods of cultivation, overgrazing, use of the top layer of the soil for making bricks. So these are all the causes for soil erosion. So for every problem there is a solution. Now let us move on to what are the effects of soil erosion. When we tell effects, so what are the effects of soil erosion? There is a loss of soil fertility and fall in agricultural productivity. So it leads to the silting and floods, and the river courses also change their direction, and there is a reduction in the capacity of the reservoirs, and the ground water level also, what happens, children, it will become less, and there is also decrease in the soil moisture. Vegetation covers dries up and drought increases. Economy as a whole, it suffers a great setback. Now we will move on to the soil. When I tell soil degradation, what do we mean by soil degradation? Soil degradation is the inability of the soil to support the growth of crops. Soil degradation is the decline in soil quality caused by its improper use, usually for agricultural, industrial or urban purposes. It is a serious environmental problem. Avoiding the soil degradation is crucial to our well-being. Now we will move on to the soil conservation. What what do we mean by soil conservation? When we try to reduce the erosion as much as possible and try to increase the fertility, that we call it as soil conservation, protecting from soil erosion in simple words. So there are several measures where we can take, that is afforestation and reforestation, controlled overgrazing, counter farming, construction of check dams, counter bunding, gully control and bench terracing. All these are these are the measures which we can take in the conservation of the soil. So the advantages of the soil conservation is it reduces the erosion, saves the fuels, cuts the cost, holds from more soil water, reduces soil compactation, allows several crops per season, does not reduce crop yields, and reduces carbon dioxide and releases from the reduces carbon dioxide release from the soil. So what are the disadvantages? When we have advantage, even we are also having disadvantage. Disadvantages is it can increase the herbicide use, leaf stalks that can have a fungal diseases, increasing pesticide use and requires the investment in expensive equipment. So the equipment. So what is soil conservation? What I told it, the summary is here. So now soil conservation practices. It is a set of management strategies for prevention of soil being eroded from the earth's surface or becoming chemically altered by overuse, acidification, salinitization or other chemical soil containment. It is a component of environmental soil science. So soil degradation, when we are having soil erosion, crusting, water logging, acidification, desertification, nutrient, soil productivity will be less. When soil conservation is there, then there are practices. When we practice that, then we will be having the soil productivity is more, plus is more. Crop rotation will be there, counter farming, chemical fertilizers, tillage conservation, water conservation, redew management. So with this we finish up with the chapter soils, Indian soils. Thank you children.